Hi. Yeah, so purpose of this video is going to be twofold, I suppose. Firstly, a lot of you have been asking kind of what I've been up to and what I've been kind of what's been going on, and I've either kind of been very vague about it or just not answered at all, which is bad of me, I know. But so yeah, hopefully I can kind of resolve all those questions with this one video. And secondly, kind of, I've been advised that maybe I'm not dealing with my emotions the way I should be, which is kind of difficult for me to kind of address that issue because I feel quite good about myself actually at the moment. But you know, I suppose this is how I normally deal with things. It doesn't always work out so brilliantly, so I thought I'd give this a go. And yeah, well, basically, I've been advised to maybe record my thoughts or something like that. So I thought this would be a fantastic way of doing so. And I just wanted to do something with this channel for ages, so I thought it's perfect. So here I am. So yeah, basically, I was around 2 months ago diagnosed with Hodgkins lymphoma. Now this lymphoma is actually in my lungs, and it's about 15 or 16 centimetres in diameter. As a visual reference, that's well, roughly the size of this plate, which is gigantic. I know. I can't even look at it when I think of it like that. It's just I didn't even know until I was diagnosed myself that you could even have cancers this large. So I suppose it's been an education for me as well. That's probably one of the only positives to come out of this. Yeah, so I guess well, I'll tell you how it all started really. At first I just felt like I had the flu, you know. I came down with like flu-like symptoms, and I also suffered with asthma before this point as well. So when I had a kind of tightness in my chest and struggling to breathe, it wasn't anything too unusual to me. Until it kind of went on and on and on till I couldn't even lie down because I was getting so out of breath. Every time I moved, I was out of breath. I tried to kind of deal with it as much as possible, really. And I literally didn't go to doctors until it was physically unbearable. That was just mostly because kind of in the past I've always had issues with my doctors whenever I've needed to go in for anything really, even if I show up, in the midst of an asthma attack or something along those lines. Kind of, they just want to refer me to a fucking dietitian or something like that. They're just kind of like, lose weight and every fucking problem you have will just melt away magically. So yeah, I've always had a kind of confidence issue when it comes to doctors and healthcare professionals. And this time was no different, really. Actually, he fobbed me off. He gave me the letter for no, it was a leaflet for a dietitian's, and then he basically sent me on my way. Refused to do any sort of test on me whatsoever. He did weigh me though, and take my height so that he could work out my BMI, which was, incredibly useful to me in that state. And he sent me to come back for a blood test, which I did do. And at that time I said, I'm feeling even worse than I was last time. You sure you can't look at me? And he was like, no, there's nothing we can do for you. Go fucking diet. So I went back home, and later that day, my mind just snapped because at that point I hadn't slept for the best part of a week, and I just had some kind of like sleep psychosis. I can't really describe what it was like in that point in time, except I was just kind of sat there, not really. It was like being on drugs or something like that, I was sitting there, rocking back and forth and kind of singing and mumbling to myself in this weird kind of language that I made up for myself. And it just got a bit crazy. So my friend did take me to the hospital. Um, And when I got there, it was the exact same thing. They did, because of the chest pains that I was having and stuff, they had to do kind of like an ECG. That's just standard procedure, which is the only reason they did it at all. And yeah, after that, they just kind of wanted to send me home. I just had to beg them. I was like, something's wrong here, you know, you might not believe me, but I can't cope with this anymore, what I've been going through. And he was incredibly annoyed. I demanded, you know, I basically said I want an x-ray, and he did it, but he made sure he didn't let me forget about it. He just kept reminding me, you know, well, nothing's gonna show up, you know, you're just wasting resources, blah 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 kind of thing. So yeah, about half an hour later he comes in with the most you know, depressing look on his face, basically. You can tell from that moment onwards that I was fucked. Yeah, he was incredibly apologetic, and past that point, everyone was, you know, incredibly helpful and fantastic about everything. They didn't know what it was at that point in time. There was just a huge, you know, massive shadow. It took me another month or two to actually be diagnosed from that point onwards. So I was just in hospital for a very, very, very long time, which was pretty crazy. Yeah, I went in for about the reason it took so long is because I went in for a biopsy, and which they did. It was the most painful thing I've ever experienced. Actually, it's not meant to hurt. I'm not quite sure why, but I could feel the whole procedure. So when they were snipping away a little piece of my lung, it fucking felt like they were snipping away a piece of my lung. I felt like I was being shot, and I had to like endure that 3 times, and at the same time have them put a new needle in each time and re-go through that pain. So that was excruciatingly painful. It's an experience I don't want to repeat. And you know, the most horrible thing about that was that I actually didn't get the results they needed from that, and I had to go and have a more in-depth kind of biopsy under general anaesthetic, which is where I got this scar from. And I was hoping that it wouldn't be such a massive, hideous, ugly scar on my fucking cleavage, but you know, they did it anyway. And when I kind of came round from the operation, it was, you know, there was a dressing over it. So I just thought that it'd probably be about half the size of the dressing, because this dressing's got a border on it and it's only, you know, as big as this. So I'm like, that's not too bad, I can deal with that, that's manageable. But then when I did remove the dressing, it was the full length of the dressing, and I was furious. And I just kept sitting there thinking to myself, like, you didn't have to cut me off. But yeah, yeah, I'm crazy in hospital because they had me on steroids for just the longest time, because I could not handle the pressure on my lungs at all and just struggling to breathe so often. So these steroids drove me absolutely fucking nuts. I'll probably go into that in detail in another video or something, because this is going to go on for a little while otherwise. Yeah, so I've been losing my hair. It's finally started to happen where I'm not going to have hair for much longer. I will actually show you that. Yeah, so this is my hair situation at the moment. I'll show you. I did actually, until a couple of days ago, have quite a lot of hair here, and I just kind of ran my fingers through my hair, and then yeah, I just came across this knot. I tugged it a little, and just all of this hair came right out of my head, and I ended up with this massive ball full of hair. But it's not too bad actually. It looks kind of like an undercut, and I've kind of always wanted one of those. So it's actually kind of inspired me to get one. When my hair grows back, I'm definitely going for the undercut. Yeah, I'm clinging onto my hair as long as possible, because I love my dreads, and they can be quite heavy actually, especially since I always have them much, much larger than most people would. And I'm not sure how that will work when I've got no hair to anchor it down to. Well, I'll probably give it a shot anyway, just because. What else? Yeah. So it's been a bit of a roller coaster, really. You know. I don't think I'd find myself dealing with something like this at my age. You know, at the time as well, I just kind of started to get my life together, and there's always so much I wanted to do, and never did. You know, you kind of feel like you've got an unlimited amount of time, but it's just you just really don't. Nobody does, and you know, if you're lucky, you have even less time than that. So it's been kind of a depressing thought when I think back to wasted time, wasted opportunities, and how really at the moment I'm kind of in a you know, mentally in a position where I'm really, you know, raring to go, and I just want to do so much, and I feel like cancer's kind of yeah taking that away from me somewhat. So I'm just trying to stay positive there, you know, but I know that I've always wanted to kind of help people, and I've never really had much ambition past that, and I do feel kind of frustrated in myself that I've never actually put as much effort into that as I should have done, you know. And now I feel like I might not get the chance to, but I do have a little bit of time left regardless. I mean, I suppose at any moment I could actually you know, take a turn for the worse, and that could be the end of it, but I don't consider the treatment I'm going through at the moment to be the biggest threat. I do need to go in for a more serious treatment in September, and the prospect scares the shit out of me, really. For that one, I would need to have stem cell transplant, which is risky, and I'm unlikely to find a donor as a backup. So I'm just depending on my own stem cells being healthy enough to use, because, or that I take to them, I suppose, because if they don't, the chemotherapy will kill me, which is scary, I suppose. But anyway, yeah, so that's generally what I've been up to, what's been going on. It's just really brief, and I'll probably go into more detail at some point if anyone gives a shit. I don't know if anyone's even going to watch this, really. But I thought it might just be good to actually get my thoughts out there, and yeah. That's all I have to say, really. So yeah, if you made it this far, thank you for watching. And if you didn't, then I don't know how I'd actually be talking to you, so that's a stupid fucking point. It's a really shit thing to end on. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm going.